All right, good morning, everyone. We are back again, and we are doing the lessons of A Course in Miracles. So we're going to be studying lesson number 55 today, which is a review period, and we're going to review lessons 21 through 25. And then we're going to be reading from A Year of Forgiveness. So before we start that, maybe you noticed that I'm wearing a different attire today, and I'm just informing all of you that don't know that I am a retired Army officer, and I served 20 years in the Army starting in 2001, and I retired in the summer of 2021. And as you can imagine, I experienced a career that was very focused on so-called fighting terrorism, which as my spiritual awakening began in around 2016, when I finally allowed myself to watch a film presenting a different theory about what happened to the 3 buildings that fell on September 11th, 2001, it was the beginning of my ability to question authority, really, truly, deeply question authority, and to imagine that governments are a little bit corrupt and a little bit not exactly what we think we see. So it was a slow start with all of that, but as time went on, I started to see inconsistencies and noticing just some hypocrisy all over the place. And then, of course, like coming into the last couple years of my career with COVID, I was completely awake and I was completely able to handle myself and my consciousness in this scenario of just being lied to and being bullied and intimidated by the government. So anyway, I noticed this morning when I got up that there's news about this war with Russia and Ukraine, and I felt like, okay, I'm going to insert what I like to call Army Sherry into the mix today, because what I want to do is take command of our organization here. And I've been a commander and been in positions of leadership my entire career, so I know how to do that, and I'm really, really good at that. And what I want to offer you is that my spiritual perspective, obviously I'm not going to talk about military stuff when it comes to any of this war. I'm not part of it. I have no idea what's going on. I'm not privy to any information, and I don't want to know, actually. But from the perspective of being a spiritual leader with 20 years of military experience, I think that what needs to happen is from the get-go, we Course in Miracles students need to remember that what we're seeing in the outside world is a projection. And the way that I'm beginning to think about war and like any large-scale conflict in the world, it's really a purification process. And that all of us who are doing our work are part of this larger collective consciousness that is awakening quicker and quicker and quicker, and majorly huge numbers compared to before, I feel. That when you're going through a purification process, you hit these points where your body is dumping out toxins and these materials and blockages that are in your physical body, your emotional body, and your spiritual body. And that is chaotic. It can make your body feel like you have the flu, or you go through these like symptoms. But from an emotional level, you're sort of purging these effects of traumas in your life or in past lives. And on a consciousness level, it's the same thing. When you're going through these growing pains, you're releasing. And so when I see the news and it's something like this, it's like, oh, we're going to have another war. It's like, okay, there's a spiritual aspect of me that says, that's not really what's happening at all. What's happening is a purging of all of these toxins that we're holding on to in our consciousness on a collective level and on an individual level. And honestly, if you reframe it, it's good news. So try not to get afraid. Now if you're living in the Ukraine, God bless you, God be with you. Do what you need to do. But if you're not there on the ground, don't take any of that in. When you see it on the news, turn it off. Don't even want to know about the facts. If you have people that are in the U.S. military, at some point, I'm sure they'll be involved if they aren't already. Support the service member that's going to go do their job. But remember, their soul picked that path. There's no reason to pity people or feel sorry or sad for people. Anyone who is anywhere in the world right now is there because their soul said so. And they have an agreement with God, so don't get involved in that. All right, so here we go. The Colonel's on station today, and we're going to talk about lesson number 55, which is reviewing lessons 21 through 25 of A Course in Miracles. And I think these lessons today, perfectly, Spirit, thank you so much. It's another example of how connected we are. These lessons, I think, are going to help us through whatever we think is developing over there between Russia and Ukraine. All right, the first lesson we'll be reviewing is, I am determined to see things differently. What I see now are but signs of disease, disaster, and death. This cannot be what God created for his beloved Son. The very fact that I see such things is proof that I do not understand God. Therefore, I also do not understand his Son. What I see tells me that I do not know who I am. I am determined to see the witnesses to the truth in me, rather than those which show me an illusion of myself. Second lesson for review today. What I see is a form of vengeance. The world I see is hardly the representation of loving thoughts. It is a picture of attack on everything by everything. It is anything but a reflection of the love of God and the love of his Son. It is my own attack thoughts that give rise to this picture. My loving thoughts will save me from this perception of the world and give me peace that God intended me to have. Third lesson for review. I can escape from this world by giving up attack thoughts. Herein lies salvation and nowhere else. Without attack thoughts, I could not see a world of attack. As forgiveness allows love to return to my awareness, I will see a world of peace and safety and joy. And it is this I choose to see in place of what I look on now. Fourth lesson for review. I do not perceive my own best interests. How could I recognize my own best interests when I do not know who I am? What I think are my best interests would merely bind me closer to the world of illusions. I am willing to follow the guide God has given me to find out what my own best interests are, recognizing that I cannot perceive them by myself. I do not know, and the last lesson that we are going to review is definitely one that I repeat quite often, especially when bad stuff happens. I do not know what anything is for. To me, the purpose of everything is to prove that my illusions about myself are real. It is for this purpose that I attempt to use everyone and everything. It is for this that I believe the world is for. Therefore, I do not recognize its real purpose. The purpose I have given the world has led to a frightening picture of it. Let me open my mind to the world's real purpose by withdrawing the one that I have given it and learning the truth about it. So there you have it. Lesson number 55. Again, this double number 55, very synchronistic, for me today. So hopefully you feel that way and that you keep yourself in peace and remember that you don't know what anything is for and that what you see is a form of vengeance. But we can turn to these lessons to help us in these times so we don't get caught up in all that drama. All right, so now let's check out A Year of Forgiveness and see what Jesus has to say about Lesson 55, this review period. You are blessed beings indeed. I am that one that you know as Jesus. It is a wonderful gift you give yourself today to review these lessons. Some have different wording than in the original text. Your mind notices, but we want you to understand that we speak about principles and ideas. The reason for changing the words is so that you do not become too dogmatic. You might notice some religious institutions on your plane use individual words inflexibly depending on who translated the original text into English or French or whatever language you read it in. We want you to understand these lessons are not about hard and fast facts and rules. That is the world of the ego, the quantifiable and measurable. You are used to that system. We use slightly different words so that you see the meanings behind their symbols and do not get too hung up, as one tends to do in this society, on specific words. Words are symbols of symbols. When you translate the language of ancient texts into another language and continue with many iterations through history, you have symbols of symbols of symbols. This is what you're faced with in many of your religious dogmas. This is one of the reasons we channel through this being, Tina, for you to hear it firsthand and to have elaborate explanations given to you over time on every given day so that you do not become obsessed with the details. This does not mean that accuracy is not important, but we do not want you to become compulsive or dogmatic. We want you to have a relaxed diligence in your practice. That means you can let go of control, fear, and judgment, but you practice. You can be both diligent and relaxed. The ego wants control, and it wants to be precise. It wants to measure things immediately. It's based in time, and it uses the body. It's important for you to understand the principles we want to cultivate. We want you to be relaxed, be happy, be open, and feel good. These are some of the clues you get from your new experience. Your new experience of those nice feelings is your feedback system saying, "Well done, you're on track." If you become too obsessive about the lessons or too fearful when you miss one, then you might feel a negative emotion. That is your guidance system saying, no, don't do it that way. Let us continue on the path of diligent relaxation. Your guidance system is constant and accurate. You always know whether you feel good, happy, relaxed, contented, curious, creative, and imaginative. Sleepy is a little different, but it's okay. If you feel that overwhelming urge to take a nap, do not resist it. Do not think that you are being lazy. The thought, "I am being lazy," is the thing that gives you a bad feeling about napping or resting. It is not the feeling of resting itself. These are some of the discernments you master as you go through these lessons. You begin to feel into you begin to feel into how to do these lessons and how to be in the world. You go from high-strung, high-stressed, controlling, argumentative, and accusatory to relaxed, open, less focused on time, healthier, and more pleasant to be around. I am that one that you know as Jesus, and we will see you again tomorrow. Okay, so I love this concept of let us continue on the path of diligent relaxation. Can you do that? Can you do that? In the midst of all the seeming chaos out in the world, can you be on a path of diligent relaxation? I think that is your homework for today, everyone. I thank you so much for joining me, and I will continue to be in command whether I wear the uniform or not. I hope that we can have this journey of diligent relaxation together today and always. I love you very much, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one.